Virginia. Virginia.
Yeah, so it could be Virgin or Virgen or I think Mariana is the easiest, honestly.
Mariana, yeah.
Yeah.
Let me throw the first question. Who is Mariana as a person, or what is she like?
Yeah, well, that's a complex question. I'm kidding. No, well, I'll define myself as a really funny, ambitious, sassy person. Really, really warm, really kind, very passionate about the things that I decide to do. Moving forward, a brief description about what I enjoy. I enjoy fashion. Back home, I live in Canada, by the way, right now. But back home, my educational background and work was mostly in fashion and marketing. So I still have fashion in my heart. It's something that I really enjoy. I find it really interested to communicate and make statements through it. I love cats. She's actually here. This is Penelope. Hi, Penelope. And so I love pets, right? So I have a cat here in my apartment, but I have cats back at home as well. And yeah, like I would say that could be a brief description of who I am as a person.
Thank you. Madame Brazil.
Hello, good morning. My question to you this morning is, if you were to be selected and crowned to represent your country going forward with Miss Trans Global, and a potential queen was anticipating joining the Miss Trans Global family and decided to look you up on social media, what would your social media page say about you?
Okay, so I think my social media will describe my work with the community. I work in several programs that are directed towards trans people here in Canada, and I have done it as well in Colombia. And I will like my ambition or my projects to work with the trans community is focused mostly on employment. And that's something that I really housing, employment, those being able to cover those basic needs that we have, and most of the time we don't have, and that just creates like a huge challenge for trans people to develop themselves.
Okay, thank you so much. Ms. Jean?
Yes. My next question would be, how active are you in your advocacy or in the community?
Very active. Like right now I work with a program named Trans People of Color, which is a peer-led project that involves cooking. We had a book, we published a book last year, and it's basically a community-based program where trans people can have access to a healthy meal, have a safe environment to express themselves, we share personal experience, we share resources. And let's say, like, because of COVID, most of it has been online. However, we have been, every time that the restrictions are being lifted, we have been gathering again together just to create that bond and that community. On top of that, I work in a women's shelter, and we work with women and trans people, or people who identify as a woman. And so I'm part of the LGBTQ2+ committee and with that organization. And just in general, like I had pretty much been involved with multiple programs and organizations that are looking forward to improve the life and life condition of trans people. I also co-facilitate a module for service users and service providers, how to treat and how to understand better trans people and their needs. So just to recap a few of them, I had been I was a speaker for Trans Pride Toronto in 2018. I had been published and been in multiple media campaigns where I advocate for our community.
Yeah.
And I'm still pretty close with my community in Colombia, right? Like I help them or support them with projects. Even if I'm far away from them, I'm still connected with the La Red Comunitaria Trans, the Trans Community Network, which is actually launching. Is like they're working right now on creating the first trans house in Colombia. So that's a really ambitious project.
Okay, I have a follow-up question. As a Canada-based Colombian woman, do you think if you win Miss Trans Global, do you think you can deliver the groundwork needed by our sisters in Colombia, aside from the social media platform itself?
Absolutely. I think I can influence and I can network to help those projects that are being developed there, right? So just in fact, like I work right now in social services, and I'm a social service student. I'm about to graduate. However, I'm shifting to public relations, and I believe that, obviously, social media is a really powerful tool that can be used to engage and to get funding, right? To get economic resources that are very crucial for the development of those projects that are being developed. For example, in this case in Colombia. So I do believe I can totally deliver a good support and service to the programs back home.
Yes, thank you. Miss Brazil, Madam.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, just to follow up your answer. Do you think within this past, within the next year, and I understand everything is social media mainstream right now, but do you think you can be physically present during your reign if you were to be selected as Colombia? Do you think you would be able to be a physical a leader to them within the year?
I don't think that would be possible for now, just for my immigration status. I'm still working on becoming a permanent resident here, so I wouldn't be able to leave the country to go back to Colombia until I finish that process, and their process, being realistic, is going to take at least 2 more years. However, like online presence and media presence, absolutely, I will be able to do it, and I do it regardless. But yeah, physically, like my persona wouldn't be able to be in Colombia during this upcoming year.
Okay, well, yeah, that was just a side question, just because I was figuring, for a pride event or something that you can actually be a face for them to see in person. My next question is, how important is it to be a gracious loser?
A gracious loser, okay. I mean, I think that, I know it might sound cliche, but I do think that you learn from every mistake or every stone that you face in your life, right? And for me personally, I like joking around. I'm a living joke. I consider myself as a really gracious person, and I try to take every experience, I try to look the silver line, and just to, even like as I mentioned before, I had a bike accident, but I don't see it as that I will keep fear or could be I see it more as a challenge that I have to overcome, and just do my best to enjoy it, and just I like to keep it positive. So I think it's really important to be a gracious or to lose with grace. Why not, right? Yeah. There's always more options, always.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Miss Jean?
Yes, I always ask these questions to Catholic countries. I mean, women Catholic countries. So, we're all being raised as Catholic girls, right?
Right.
Go to church every day, follow some religion thing with childlike faith and everything. So I assume you're religious. Okay?
Uh-huh. I'm a spiritual. I wouldn't say I'm religious, but I am a spiritual person.
Okay. So how would you reconcile your faith with the supposedly religion of, for example, love and compassion, which
Well,
become an instrument of, discrimination, especially
right.
God-fearing trans people?
Right. I mean, to begin with, like I'm really respectful for everyone's religious beliefs and points of view and positions, right? Like we all have different ones,
Yeah.
and it's okay to differ or to have a different point of view. And as long as we do it in a respectful manner, I think not everybody has to agree and in some things, right? And obviously there's a level between like your beliefs and the impact that those are going to have in my life, right? So that's when you need to balance, like, until which point your beliefs or religious beliefs can push over someone else's life, quality of life.
Yeah.
So bringing back to the part of the reconciliation, I don't consider myself as a religious person, but my mom, she's really religious, and my mom loves me, and like I love her, and I think that's a good example. Like she respects my points of view about the religion that she processes, but it doesn't change the fact that she's a good person or not, right? Like that's like, in fact, I believe that the fact that she has a strong belief in that religion actually help her to be a better person, right?
Yeah.
So I support all those points of view as long as they are not harmful to anybody else. And as I said before, I necessarily don't need to process that, but I will respect that for sure. I think we are reaching a point in the world where we are being more conscious and more aware about like how diverse people are, and how we don't need to believe the same, and not everybody has to have the same pattern in life. So hopefully, like, we can still promote that, so there's more people willing to to respect others people's religious beliefs or points of view, etc.
Yes, thank you. Madame Brazil?
Yes. Speaking of point of views that you just mentioned, I have a question for you. If an orange is called an orange, why isn't a banana called a yellow?
Okay, so let me repeat the question. So if an orange is color orange,
if an orange is called an orange, why isn't a banana called a yellow?
that's a good one. Oof. I'm just gonna say that basically it's all a social construction, right? The idea that we have about color or fruits or everything, right? I mean, probably has an origin which I'm not aware of. But like it could be many other countries, like just even the same fruit, right? It has a different name or a different concept of it. So I think that's the best answer that I can give right now. Or if you can clarify for me, I would really appreciate it, because I'm curious. I haven't thought about it, to be honest.
Oh, no, it's okay. It's just one of those questions. It's more so a fun question just to see how people would answer it. Before I give it the mic to Miss Jean, I have a 4-word question for you, however. I will repeat it so you can make sure you fully understand it, and if you need to think about it, you're more than welcome to. My question for you today is, if you, why you? The question again I have for you is, if you, why you?
Okay. If me and why me, I am very proud of who I am as a person, keeping in mind the background and the life experiences that I had been somehow face it or force it to leave. I believe I'm a really resilient person. I believe I'm really gracious. I believe I'm very smart and I'm very dedicated. And I'm a do it person. Like I'm a move forward person. Like I overcome challenges and I find different ways to sort out. Saying that, I had, yeah, like overall my life, I had been pretty proud of all the achievements that and goals that I had reached. I'm still pretty far from my concept of success, if you want to say it that way. But I do like who I am as a person. I'm proud of Mariana, to be honest. I'm proud of the woman that I built and have created nowadays. Of course, I still have to do work and so much, right? Like there's so much things that I need to improve about myself, but I'm pretty optimistic. I think I'm in the right pathway. So hopefully I was able to answer the question without mumbling.
No, yes, you were. Thank you so much for that answer. Miss Jean?
Yeah, I have one last question for you. How much do you know about Miss Trans Global? The reason why I ask is because, do you think you would be able to sustain all the process that is involved in this pageant?
Right. I honestly, I have to confess, I have never really been a beauty pageant person. However, like when I got to know Miss Trans Global, because a friend of mine told me about it, I was mesmerized. I was like, wow, I really like that concept. I like the concept of what the organization is doing. I like the approach that is having, that is not just based on how you look or, you know, like how perfect your body is, but I like the fact that I was like mixing a bit of like, yeah, of course, right? It's still some sort of like appearance, but it's mostly focused on like the social aspect of it, right? So that's what drew me to it. And as I said before, I have a friend who has been there, and I really like, you know, I was looking at her the work that she has done, and it really drew me, and that's why that's what I'm making interest, and I want to be part of this contest organization, right? Because I think is really cool, it's really fresh, the approach that it has, and I think it has a lot of potential for me to grow and to become and support better the community that I work with.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes, I just have I have one more question, but I want to follow up on your response to Miss Jean's last question, which is today it's very important to have experience in education. You've stated that you haven't really been in the pageant scene. So could you enlighten us on what education you have dealing with pageantry that'll help you confidently reign if selected to represent Miss Colombia?
So let's say, like, my background, as I mentioned at the beginning of the conversation, of the interview, I have background in fashion marketing. So I did work in fashion, and I mean, not necessarily like beauty pageants wouldn't, but I work with bridals, luxury beachwear companies, advertisement. So I do have some sort of like organizational aspect as a background, right? So, and I have worked for campaigns, and I have that experience for sure. And I also have my passion for that too, right? And as I said before, I am also right now, like even right now, I'm working in social services. I'm moving forward to public relations. I'm a person who likes to challenge herself, right? And I also have the support of my community, and there, I have sisters who are well experienced, and they are willing to, guide me. And I love that, right? I love that aspect of sisterhood, that we can support each other and we can learn and share the skills that some of us have in a more stronger manner than others, and that's part of growing as community, right? That we don't need to have the same experience, but that we can build in other people's life and share and build something interesting from it.
Thank you. And my final question is that obviously right now Miss Trans Global is currently virtual, but eventually it will be held as a physical pageant. What support do you have that'll help support you and help you thrive and soar throughout this competition while it's virtual?
Okay, so as I said, I do have community support. I have a pretty strong, bold trans community here that are willing, and that we have. Before I even decide to participate, I did it's like a small survey, like, hey, I want to do this, and most of them were really happy and really willing to contribute. So in whatever they were capable. And on top of that, beyond my trans community, also, with my general community, like my boss, like my work, like, my partner, all of them, they are really willing to bring me support in whatever that means, right? So I feel really blessed to have that on my side, right? Because I think that just makes things a bit easier for sure.
Thank you so much for answering our questions today.